Welcome back to the FriFunShow, Show, June 1st, 2012. We're going to continue with another story, and it's now time for some grossed out news. The news segment that will freak you out so bad that you might want to throw up. Anyways, there's a Miami homeless man being accused for biting someone, which is called cannibalism. I'm so scared to read this story. But according to the news article from the CTA Canadian news station, a homeless man whose face was mostly chewed off in a bizarre, vicious attack faces a bigger threat from infection than from the injuries themselves, according to experts on facial reconstruction. He will require months of treatment to reveal the features and be permanently disfigured. Through gruesome, such severe facial injuries are generally not life-threatening. The most serious risks to Ronald Popple, as he remained hospitalized on Wednesday, were germs that might have been introduced by the bites of the naked man who attacked him. One of the 65-year-old eyes was also gouged out. Ew, that's so gross. Dr. Seth Soller, the chief of plastic and reconstructive surgery at the University of Miami's Miller School of Medicine, said that the human mouth is basically filthy. It's not clear why Popo was attacked Saturday afternoon by 31-year-old Rudy Eugene alongside a busy highway. Police have released few details about the attack, but surveillance video from a nearby building shows Eugene pulling Popo from the shade, stripping and pulling him before appealing to hunch over and then lie on top of him. A witness described Eugene ripping at Popo's face with his mouth and growling at a Miami police officer who ordered him to get off the homeless man, where the officer shot and killed Eugene. Eugene's younger brother said it was a sweet person who didn't drink much or use hard drugs. When he asked for a nanny to protect his family from harassment, I wish he didn't kill him so he could tell us exactly what happened. This is very uncharacteristic of him. Police union officials representing the officer said the scene on the MacArthur Causeway was one of the goriest they have ever seen. He had his face eaten down to his goatee. The forehead was just bone. No nose, no mouth, said Sergeant Armando Aguilar, president of the Miami Fraternal Order of the Police. Our next story comes with a little suspense where John Edwards has been convicted on just one count for campaign money fraud, with 5 other charges counted as a mistrial, according to an article from the New York Times. For just a moment, the man whose intimate sexual details, lies, and bare political ambition have been aired for nearly 6 weeks in a federal trial if he might cry. Yes, he said he has left the courtroom, he has sinned. Where Edwards has said, I did an awful lot that was wrong. I am responsible. I don't have to go any further than the mirror. It's me and me alone. But he was not guilty of using campaign funds to hide those sins, he said. Certainly, Mr. Edwards has lost in the court of public opinion, but on Thursday, he is vindicated for the moment by a jury of most working-class North Carolinians who could not reach a verdict on the 5 charges of campaign fraud and conspiracy he faced. They acquitted him on one, which was based on a $200,000 check that heiress Rachel Maryland had written him in January of 2008, the month he dropped out of the race for the Democratic nomination for president. The Justice Department offered no indication on whether it would retry Mr. Edwards. Unless it decides to do so, the verdict and mistrial end on the most scandalous chapters in the history of presidential campaigning, women in a hidden child and ambitious would be First Lady dying of cancer, secret money from ultra-rich supporters, and legal scrutiny of the laws that regulate how money given to candidates for office can be used. It was also seen as a blow to the Justice Department Public Integrity Section, that watchdog agency that has struggled to rebuild itself. It is unlikely that the verdict will help politicians rather interrupt the labyrinth of the campaign finance law or lead to more gifts to candidates, according to Richard L. Anson, an expert in election law at the University of California, located in Irvine, California. He said that this is not going to open up a free for all where you're going to have the super PAC billionaires giving large gifts to their candidate friends. He noted that our FEC had made it clear that it looks critically upon the practice unless there has been a pattern of gift giving unrelated to campaigns, as with Miss Mellon to Mr. Edwards. By the way, FEC stands for the Federal Election Commission. And let's continue. If he was advertising candidates, Richard L. Hansen would tell politicians like Edward that he would encourage them to be extremely cautious, as he is referred to Richard, so as not to get caught up in something which would cause an overzealous prosecutor to try to make a name for himself or herself. Some tough, hard-hitting economic news. Wall Street has lost a big percentage for all three major stocks after hitting a new record since 2007. These are Dow Jones. The stocks that lost a lot last month were Dow Jones, Nasdaq, and S&P 500, where they lost a large percentage since August of 2011, where they experienced a big drop in stocks on August 4th and August 8th, only 2 days. The Dow Jones has lost over 800 points, or 6%. As for the Nasdaq, has lost over 200 points, or 7%, and the S&P 500 has lost 87 points, or just about 6% for last month overall. The main reason for this is the worries of a recession in Europe, similar to the 2007 to 2009 recession in the United States. Let's just hope stocks don't go into the big red because of the recession. Hopefully, the recession recovers more faster than the U.S. But yesterday, stocks has been, as this is recorded on Saturday, June 2nd, stocks has dropped down rapidly, with the Dow Jones ending at 274 points, or dropping down 2%. The Nasdaq lost 3%, where it lost almost 80 points, and the S&P 500 has lost the same percentage as Dow Jones, but lost only 32 points. In some health news, New York City Mayor Bloomberg favored to ban all soft drinks that are only soda higher than 16 ounces. This has sparked outrage for the New York City Health Commissioner, suggesting that there should be an alternative to this. So, I love soda because it has caffeine in it. Caffeine makes me more focused, maybe more energetic. Because if you don't drink caffeine, like coffee, where it makes you live more longer, you won't be able to focus on certain things, and more likely you'll zone out of a certain attention. In some Windows news, Microsoft releases the last public sneak peek version of Windows 8, according to an article from the Computer World. A few days ago, Microsoft has shipped the release preview for Windows 8, the final public sneak peek for what the company keeps calling a no-compromise version and reimagining of the decades-old OS. Top Windows chief Steven Simpolsky took to a company blog to announce the availability of a release preview, and along the way cited all kinds of impressive numbers ranging from hundreds of millions of hours of testing to an accounting of the Open Verbals building Windows 8 blog. But the release preview isn't the final code, Simpolsky warned, as he said that Microsoft will still be changing Windows 8, referring to the time between now and the RTM, or release to manufacturing, the stage where code is handed over to the computer makers to begin installing on new systems. While release preview is a step away from previous consumer preview, it shows raw spots and has some important unfinished business. According to the latter, a more complete reworking of the user interface to ditch Vista and Windows 7's Arrow's look and feel. That's the point of the whole process, according to Simpolsky, as he says, we'll be looking hard at every aspect of Windows 8 as we complete to work on the product, he says. Additionally, customers will be able to buy a Windows 7 PC between June 2nd, which is today, and January 31st of 2013, and users will be able to upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 8 Professional for only $15 on the same day. What a nice deal. In some Versus news between the deaths of Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman's trial, there is an update on George Zimmerman, where in yesterday's court hearing, the judge has revoked Zimmerman's bond, where he was charged for second-degree murder when he killed Trayvon Martin in February of this year. Zimmerman is forced to return to jail by today, to be exact. Finally, in some royal news, the Queen of England will be celebrating its Queen Jubilee for her 60th anniversary on her throne. According to the horrid Fox News, where they provided this article, Britain is making Queen Elizabeth II 60 years on the throne with a 4-day holiday weekend of ceremony, symbolism, and street parties. The Queen will celebrate Saturday at the Epsom Derby, a highlight of the horse racing calendar, and on Sunday she will lead a 1,000-boat flota on the River Thames. Monday's festivity will include a pop concert in front of Buckingham Palace with Paul McCartney and Elton John, and festivities climax Tuesday with a religious service, a procession through the streets of London, and the royal family's appearance on the palace balcony. The pageant entertainment is very grand and very British, but at the heart of the Diamond Jubilee celebration is a nearly universal sense of appreciation for the Queen, who ascended to the throne in 1952 on the death of her father, King George VI, suppose. Elizabeth was a very young woman of 25 when she became the head of the state of a faltering post-war nation. At 86, she still remained strong in her heart and stout of spirit, refusing to let age slow her pace or dim her smile, which if anything has grown more welcoming over the years. Winston Churchill was the prime minister when she became queen at that time, and David Cameron, who wasn't even born then, is Britain leaders as of right now. Elizabeth herself has no political role, but her royal mystique, the centuries of history she embodies in her own discreet charisma, helped define the very idea of Britain for the world. Alan Watson, a member of the House of Lords who has written a book about the Queen, said the Jubilee is a joyous occasion for many Britons who have seen the Queen as a symbol of stability. So what I think about the 4-day holiday is a good thing to have it like once in a while, which is lucky for Britain, but not lucky for us, because we haven't like had a 4-day holiday in like a while, in particular some particular cases, we never had a 4-day holiday like forever now. I wish we had one. It would be a kind of good thing, you know. And now after all of these kind of news, it's time for the joke of the episode. Why did the chicken didn't go to prom? Just chicken out on looking good. And we have one more thing that before I leave. I have to ask you a question for this video based on it's just pretty much just an opinion. The question of the video is, what do you think of the New York banning soda retail venues with soda cups that's higher than 16 ounces? Leave in the comments down below. And that will be the time for our show today. I'm Alan Fung, and I'll see you next week every single Friday.